Welcome back to Nokus Reality, where we uncover the biggest stories, shocking twists, and behind-the-scenes drama from your favorite reality TV stars. Today, we're diving into one of the most explosive storylines ever imagined around the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. What happens when a decades-long marriage falls apart, a lifelong friendship is put to the ultimate test, and rumors of a secret romance begin to dominate Beverly Hills? As Kyle Richards struggles to rebuild her life after her heartbreaking split from Mauricio Umansky, whispers begin to link Mauricio with none other than Kyle's closest friend, Dorit Kemsley. From alleged late-night meetings at luxury hotels and Dorit's own marriage falling apart to rumors of secret business deals and a stunning wedding announcement that leaves everyone speechless, every new development raises even more questions. Could this be the ultimate betrayal? Or is there far more to the story than the headlines suggest? In today's video, we'll break down every dramatic chapter, explore the alleged timeline, and reveal why this story has everyone talking. Stay with us until the very end because this emotional journey is packed with twists you won't want to miss. To truly understand the depth of this heartbreak, we have to rewind to where it all began. The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills used to have a core group that was quite tight-knit. In the middle were Kyle Richards, former child star turned reality TV queen, and her magnetic husband, real estate tycoon Mauricio Umansky. Together for nearly 27 years, they established an empire, raised a lovely family, and seemed to have the kind of love that rarely endures the harsh lights of Hollywood. They were the golden couple of 90210, all warm and fuzzy and glued together. Dorit Kemsley was a perfect fit when she joined the cast with husband Paul PK Kemsley. The chemistry between the two couples was clear. Mauricio and PK had developed a strong fraternity based on high-stakes business deals, cutting humor, and midnight cigars. Meanwhile, Kyle and Dorit grew to be more than co-stars. They were real sisters. Fans loved watching the four go on costly vacation trips, attend private family parties, and defend each other's corner through every route shown on screen, season after season. They were close-knit. In a world of transactional relationships and shifting televised allegiances, their chemistry was genuine, solid, and totally unassailable. They leaned on each other through family health crises, break-ins, and personal losses. Kyle would often refer to Dorit as a confidant who understood what it was like to live life under the public's gaze. Their relationship went well beyond the ordinary hours on set. Unfiltered dinners at home, private birthday dinners, and joint family holidays confirmed their placement as an untouchable inner circle. For years, nobody could have suspected that the same people who built this fortress of friendship would be the ones to rip it apart from the inside. For more than 2 decades, Kyle Richards and Mauricio Umansky seemed like an invincible couple. To the public, their romance was the gold standard of reality television, a rare sanctuary of real stability amidst the hectic turnover of Beverly Hills social circles. Behind the locked gates of their plush Encino home, the romance between the two was slowly changing. What started as a slight emotional barrier rapidly expanded into a gulf they could no longer overlook. The first public hints of trouble came when Mauricio's luxury real estate company, The Agency, launched an aggressive international expansion. Mauricio was away more and more with regular high-stakes business travels to Mexico, Europe, and new foreign brokerages. At that very moment, Kyle was going through her own deep inner metamorphosis. She stopped drinking altogether, embraced a strict exercise regimen, and concentrated on self-exploration and emotional boundaries. Kyle became a new version of herself, but Mauricio was still very much attached to his jet-setting lifestyle. The routines, the late-night chuckles, the easy closeness that had previously been the fabric of their marriage began to slowly fade. The tabloid headlines fanned the flames, reviving old suspicions of infidelity from a decade ago with a new ferocity. Kyle had been fighting off internet gossip and conjecture from her co-stars about her spouse for years. But the emotional toll was beginning to show. The lighthearted conversation on camera began to feel increasingly artificial, replaced by long pauses and a courteous distance. Viewers started to realize that this couple was basically leading separate lives under one home. Meanwhile, the dynamic within their close-knit inner circle was also changing. Dorit Kemsley, a longtime close friend of Kyle's, began to delicately question their increasingly disparate schedules on camera. For Kyle, it was a difficult, shocking blow to have her private marital issues featured on reality TV by a close friend. What Dorit had phrased as care for his well-being was really the seeds of uncertainty, tension, and suspicion. The change in July 2023 forever changed the realm of reality television. It was officially reported that Kyle Richards and Mauricio Umansky had separated after 27 years of marriage. To millions of loyal fans who had watched their fairy tale relationship play out over 13 seasons of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, the news felt like an earthquake. And now, the pair that everyone thought would last forever was formally calling it quits. News spread like wildfire on social media, catching even their closest co-stars off guard. Hours after the news broke, Kyle and Mauricio made a joint statement admitting they had gone through the toughest year of their marriage. They asserted that no one was to blame and denied any preparations for a hasty divorce. But the emotional gulf between them was surely irrevocable. Behind closed doors, things were much more agonizing than any glossy Instagram post could express. The story emerged back in October while Kyle was on vacation in Aspen with Mauricio and their daughters. Phones buzzed nonstop with headlines, but the genuine anguish could not be hidden. As their children wept aloud, they confronted the reality that their family dynamic had been irrevocably transformed. Kyle and Mauricio continued to live under the same roof in separate wings of their estate, but the pleasant warmth of their home had been replaced with a heavy, quiet anxiety. For Kyle, the grief was immense. She said she felt a great sense of loss, not only for her marriage, but for the picture-perfect life she'd been building for close to 30 years. Meanwhile, rumors began to circulate incessantly on the internet forums. Fans scrutinized everything from Kyle's tight relationship with country singer Morgan Wade to previous accusations about Mauricio's high-flying lifestyle. The seismic shockwaves from Kyle Richards and Mauricio Umansky's high-profile split continued to reverberate across Beverly Hills, and a heavy silence fell over their once vibrant inner circle. But in a city of wealth, where secrets are currency and the black shadows hold the actual answers, stillness doesn't stay long. Soon, persistent rumors started to swirl around the upper crust of 90210, rumors that focused on an unexpected and increasingly dubious link between Dorit Kemsley and Mauricio. At first, when the whispers about Dorit and Mauricio being in regular touch began to circulate, not many people paid any mind. After all, the two families had spent years sharing intimate family dinners, luxurious joint vacations, and beloved holiday festivities. Their kids called each other family, and Mauricio had been a big protective brother for Dorit for years, especially after her harrowing home invasion. From the outer world's point of view, quick check-ins, nice phone calls, all of it appeared harmless enough, simply two old family friends trying to find their way through a gut-wrenching moment for their common group. But in weeks that followed, which were far from calm, the frequency, timing, and quality of their overall communication apparently began to change. In affluent circles in Beverly Hills, they saw that their interactions were no longer just passive condolence calls or group chat check-ins. Instead, late-night phone chats and private direct messages between Dorit and Mauricio were reportedly happening around the clock. As a distraught Kyle withdrew from the spotlight, trying to comprehend the end of her marriage that had lasted decades, her estranged husband and closest female confidant spent an impressive amount of time talking with each other. As these reports spread quicker through social media and Hollywood insider circles, the silence from within their circle was deafening. Dorit and Mauricio did not step forward to justify their continuous communication, leading one to wonder. To friends, they had been an unbroken foursome. Now, friends were asking hard questions behind closed doors, wondering if line after line had been gently breached. Rumors continued to circulate through the quiet, elite areas of Los Angeles, and whispers developed into purported sightings that reverberated via the Hollywood grapevine. No longer confined to hushed phone calls or late-night texts sent in secret, the chatter had moved into the open. Soon, dramatic eyewitness stories began to come from some of the most affluent five-star hotels in the most exclusive sections of Hollywood and West Beverly Hills. According to insider sources and hotel guests with eagle eyes, Dorit Kemsley and Mauricio Umansky were seen together on more than one occasion in luxury hotel suites. These were not casual, brightly lighted afternoon coffee talks in public hotel lobbies. According to sources, the two were arriving totally independently, late at night, using hidden side entrances, subterranean valet bays, and private elevators in a conscious attempt to evade the prying eyes of the media. Witnesses told of hours of private, personal time Dorit and Mauricio spent together in the hotel's secluded locations, away from production cameras, common friends, and family. They even reportedly timed their meetings and departures with military precision so as not to arouse the instant suspicion of any photographers or entertainment bloggers still hanging about with different luxury vehicles and staggered departure times in the wee small hours. When news of these purported late-night trysts started to trickle back into social media circles, the online community went absolutely bananas. Hollywood pundits and Bravo fans scrutinized every detail, speculating whether these private encounters were harmless strategy sessions about their business connections, commiserating chats about their failing marriages, or something far more intimate and juicy. Alas, the rumors exploded, and neither Dorit nor Mauricio immediately publicly denied them, and both remained tight-lipped and stoic. Heavy silence frequently speaks a lot louder than words in a celebrity town based on publicity and image control. Every unsubstantiated media story and mysterious blind item fueled an already raging inferno. What happened behind those closed hotel doors was a subject of considerable argument. But one thing was becoming blindingly obvious. The walls which had held their extended family together were in ruins. As whispers of secret hotel rendezvous were lighting up social media, another big storm was brewing in Dorit Kemsley's household. Dorit and her husband, Paul, P.K. Kemsley, have always had each other's backs on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and they have a strong devotion to one another. Their flamboyant lifestyle, shared business interests, and eccentric home life made them a fixture of the show. But behind the closed walls of their Encino mansion, the basis of their nearly decade-long marriage was under great pressure and quickly collapsing. The significant fissures had begun appearing long before the world paid attention to them. The couple's emotional separation became huge after a terrible home invasion in 2021 left Dorit suffering from severe post-traumatic stress disorder. Dorit was battling crippling anxiety, and PK was out in London for extended periods of time on business, leaving her feeling alone and neglected. Money problems, legal problems from the past, and PK's constant fight to stay sober made things worse, and the home life was filled with yelling fights behind closed doors. Then, reports spread that Dorit was getting involved with Mauricio Umansky, and the already thin calm in the Kemsley household shattered. PK was reportedly outraged at the public humiliation, financial difficulties, and constant speculation about his wife and his erstwhile close pal. The trust and dedication that had held them through the televised feuds and legal battles had been irreparably broken. After months of hard-living arrangements, tense public denials, and an official separation declaration, Dorit officially took the agonizing choice to file for divorce in court, citing irreconcilable differences. Ending a high-profile 9-year marriage on a tragic note, she filed for sole physical custody of their 2 young children, Jagger and Phoenix, and spousal support. And the news sent yet another tremendous tremor across Beverly Hills social circles and reality TV lovers alike. What was once a glamorous inner circle that had ruled the Bravo airwaves for almost a decade was now completely shattered, both anchor marriages officially destroyed. But witnessing Dorit's marriage unravel, over and above her own, was no balm, no resolution for Kyle Richards. Instead, it just heightened the emotional stakes, speeding up whispered suspicions throughout Hollywood that two newly single people. For Kyle Richards, following the nonstop news cycle was just an incredible emotional execution. Not just that her 27-year marriage had fallen apart in public, but that the ladies she had considered actual sisters were now behaving like strangers in the dark. Kyle had always been the emotional backbone of her social group, always settling fights, always having an open shoulder to cry on, and fiercely defending her loved ones. But when her own world came crashing down, the very safety net she thought would catch her disappeared into thin air. While reports of secret hotel meetings and continuous private emails between Dorit and Mauricio made news after headline, Kyle retreated farther within herself. A reality star friend said she was not herself. Suddenly, all the lighthearted fun that had existed on television screens for 13 seasons was replaced with a clear, chilling sadness. She felt horribly betrayed, not just by a former lover, but by a close friend who had sat at her family dinner table, vacationed with her children, and promised complete commitment to their sisterhood. When co-stars would try to check in or ask probing questions on television, Kyle would shut down, pulling back from event invitations and isolating herself inside her narrowest familial confines. The trust she had spent decades building was shattered beyond repair. Every unstated detail was like a purposeful dagger in the back to Kyle. How could she, who had seen her at the peak of her pain over the separation from her husband, then supposedly enter into an intimate relationship with that same man? The unshakable friendship that had once existed between two of Beverly Hills' most prominent ladies had crumbled into chilly silences, guarded looks, and legal boundaries. The sisterhood was dead and buried under a heap of unfulfilled promises and public humiliation. As the dust settled on two marriages in dissolution, gossip in Hollywood took a surprising new turn. The conjecture was no longer about secret late-night hotel trips or emotional betrayals. It was about high-stakes ambition. Insiders in the Beverly Hills real estate and television community began whispering about secret business dealings between Dorit Kemsley and Mauricio Umansky, far away from the watchful eyes of production cameras and network scrutiny. Multiple sources in high-end entertainment and real estate told us that Mauricio's worldwide luxury firm, The Agency, was in the process of pursuing lucrative new expansion projects and luxury lifestyle branding alliances. Dorit's considerable history in worldwide fashion design and marketing of luxury brands allegedly created a shared commercial alignment between the two. What started as off-the-record counsel during a personal crisis apparently turned into official off-camera talks about joint commercial ventures, luxury real estate cross-promotions, and private investment strategies. Mauricio had depended on Kyle as his go-to sounding board and business partner for years, while Dorit and PK had their own fashion and beverage companies. But now, with both legacy marriages broken, economic power was moving swiftly in Beverly Hills. They knew if they teamed up, they could create incredible leverage together, an insider said. Mauricio's real estate domination, plus Dorit's media acumen and luxury sensibilities, went beyond a business collaboration. It was the creation of a powerful economic alliance that could reshape their public stories and guarantee their long-term security. But for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, it was a far more planned move behind the sparkle of potential brand deals. There were rumors that the cast and crew were planning their on-camera spots behind the scenes for future seasons. They allegedly discussed how to present a united front, answer difficult questions about the reunion, and push back against anticipated criticism from Kyle's followers. For Kyle Richards, the final humiliation was realizing that her ex-husband and former closest friend might have been constructing a clandestine business empire behind her back. This was no mere personal injury. This was a cold, calculated hijacking of the same social and professional empire she had spent over a decade erecting, and she was entirely alone in the glare. For months, Hollywood buzzed with tense expectancy as rumors, quiet hotel sightings, and hushed business connections swirled around Dorit Kemsley and Mauricio Umansky. But no one could have prepared the public and the entertainment industry or the cast of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills for the total eruption that was about to happen under the glaring glare of the cameras. Mauricio held a news conference, breaking with the usual reality TV etiquette and cryptic social media posts. But news agencies and entertainment reporters packed the location expecting real estate updates after the announcement was initially framed as a major corporate announcement addressing the global growth of his luxury firm, The Agency. Instead, they stepped right into one of the most astonishing personal announcements in Hollywood history. In a fitted suit, Mauricio stepped up to the podium, cool and confident, addressing the packed house. He spoke about commercial endeavors and then changed his tone completely. Cameras' lenses flashed nonstop, live feeds were broadcasted on all the main news networks, then he dropped a bombshell that paralyzed social media instantly. Dorit Kemsley and I are building a future together. We have officially agreed to marry on September 10th. The room went completely haywire. Reporters fired questions. Live stream comment feeds blew up with millions of responses. And within seconds, the title was on news banners of entertainment channels throughout the world. Then, in one breath, what had been disregarded as crazy internet speculation by skeptics was proven as indisputable reality. The public response across social media was immediate and bitterly split. After two very bitter divorces, thousands of admirers flocked to congratulate the newly public couple on their daring stride into a new era. But the internet also experienced a tsunami of furious criticism. Behind the flashbulbs, the multi-million-dollar houses, and the red carpet glamour of Beverly Hills comes a brutal, unadulterated human truth. Heartbreak doesn't care about position, fame, or income. Watching the guy she loved for almost 30 years start a whole new life with one of her best friends was a life-changing devastation for Kyle Richards. But it wasn't only the public implosion of her marriage that pained her the most. It was the utter implosion of a sacred trust she had passionately guarded for decades. In reality, television's competitive landscape, cast members are sometimes asked to transform personal suffering into digestible entertainment. But for Kyle, this was never simply a fun tale for the cameras. This was her real life, her family, and her heart being ripped apart in front of millions of watching eyes. While the entire media was transfixed on the pure shock value of Mauricio and Dorit's surprise wedding announcement, Kyle discreetly sought refuge in the serene sanctuary of her house with only her adored daughters and her dearest, oldest allies. The emotional heart of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills went from a woman who was bubbly and lively to someone processing deep grief, dealing with the tragic death of her life partner and her best female friend. But in the midst of the pain and humiliation, there was a quiet, unshakable tenacity, slowly settling in. Kyle knew her past had been turned upside down in the most public way possible, but her future was all hers to make. Instead, she focused her attention and energy on her personal health, family commitments, and forging a life of her own beyond the heavy shadow of her previous life. While 90210 could promise complete perfection on the outside, Kyle's path is a heartbreaking reminder of what happens when the cameras stop filming and the applause dies down. Real lives of real human beings are changed, and genuine relationships are permanently wounded, and true healing takes time. Do you believe Kyle can ever truly heal and rebuild her life after such a public betrayal? Or will this scandal forever define the legacy of Beverly Hills? How would you handle it if your longtime partner and your best friend moved on together right before your eyes? And do you think Dorit and Mauricio's upcoming September 10th wedding will actually stand the test of time under the harsh reality TV spotlight? Sound off with your honest thoughts in the comments section below. More update. The drama between the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills stars Kyle Richards and Dorit Kemsley is far from over. From Dorit issuing a surprising warning about Mauricio Umansky to revealing whether she has spoken to Kyle since the explosive season 15 reunion, the tension keeps escalating. Kyle has now shared the difficult truth about where their friendship stands, while Dorit finally explains why she left Kyle and Erica stranded in Italy without a ride. What really happened behind the scenes? Let's break down every shocking detail. In part 1 of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion for season 15, Dorit Kemsley was warning Kyle Richards about her estranged husband, Mauricio Umansky, as she navigates her own acrimonious divorce. Dorit's words of warning for Kyle came after the latter spoke of how she judged her, and went to the other women to speak about her erratic spending after she dropped $4,000 while shopping in the Hamptons. By the way, I'm not in the same financial position as you. I'm sorry. Dorit wondered if she'd heard about her money woes from Mauricio through his good friend and her ex, Paul P.K. Kemsley, while Kyle claimed that she'd heard about Dorit's finances on the news. I really hope to God things stay amicable between you and Mal. I really do, Dorit told Kyle, and I hope to God nothing turns. Instead of firmly being in Kyle's camp, Dorit decided to bring up how the OG had previously said earlier in the season that her divorce horror stories didn't seem like the PK she knew. Me too, Kyle answered. But if and when it does, and you're dealing with what I've had to deal with, maybe, you'll find it hard to sit in rooms and conversations when you're bursting at the seams. And you want to actually be talking to your girlfriends and have a little bit of support, only to have people either judging you, talking behind your back, or suggesting, I don't know Mal like that. I'm so surprised. The specific clip in question from the RHOBH season 15 reunion began with host Andy Cohen pointing out that Dorit had been concerned about Kyle's remarks regarding her supposed erratic and manic behavior, which she feared would come back and bite her in the ass amid her and PK's pending divorce. Has that ever happened? He asked. Oh yes, said Dorit. Obviously Kyle was telling Ma about me in the season and PK was teasing me at the end of the season saying, apparently you're not doing so well. Kyle denied ever stating anything about that, and Dorit asked sarcastically whether PK received his intel out of the sky, or maybe he's just a psychic. But Kyle fired back, no, somebody's talking and it ain't me. So you can't just keep expressing things that you just presume. I'm so tired of defending my character. Dorit went on to explain why Kyle's comments had become an issue for her, if she is so concerned. She does not comprehend that saying I am erratic, that I am not myself, without once considering she is in a bitter divorce. I am not in your position. I filed for divorce. That's why I was saying don't poke the bear with PK, Kyle said. However, Dorit shot back, questioning why Kyle was then further fueling the fire by suggesting that she is erratic. Kyle eventually said she had made a wrong choice of words when she spoke about Dorit being late, spending money, and not seeming to care about connecting with the cast at group outings. She also doubled back on her assertion that the other women were having that conversation about Dorit's behavior with her as well. And that's when Dorit started going to each woman one by one, asking if they had, in fact, gone to Kyle with those same worries. Kyle swiftly shot it down, however, stating she misspoke when she alone used the word erratic to characterize Dorit. I thought about my own experience as well, Kyle said. I compared it to how I felt after my separation, that I can tend to get OCD and, like all over the place. I mean, I get really ADHD and I'm like not clear and, maybe working out too much and like not focused and like all over the place and scattered. I meant that. And it became this massive, huge thing that it was not supposed to be. Dorit said Kyle made it a big, huge thing, but he said, you're trying just to focus on me and make me look bad when I wasn't saying things to be gossipy or mean about you. Dorit Kemsley reveals if she's spoken to Kyle Richards since the season 15 reunion. Dorit Kemsley is opening up about where she and Kyle Richards stand following the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Season 15 reunion. Dorit and Kyle had their disagreements throughout the season, even though they have been friends for years, but she is optimistic about the future of their friendship. Dorit told Extra earlier this month, admitting that she hasn't spoken to Kyle since the RHOBH Season 15 reunion. "I haven't spoken to Kyle, no," she said in a footage shared on Instagram on May 22nd. However, she is willing to talk to her again. "Look, I think you need two people. Any kind of resolve requires two people, and that's always been my position. And I've always said that because actually I'm the type of person where there's nothing that you can't get over if two people want to," she continued. "And I am usually down, always open to it. And I think if Kyle feels the same way, then there's room," she candidly declared. "If she doesn't, it's not something that I'm not going to push my way to try and heal things if it's not in her heart. I know she cares. I do care for her. I love her daughters to death." She also confessed that the fact that they've been pals made things complicated between them. "It's a very long friendship," she said. "Kyle and I have had some up and downs over the last few years, and that makes things a bit difficult." Dorit told the magazine she could see herself restoring her friendship with Kyle. "I really do believe that Kyle and I will definitely be able to have some kind of relationship at some point," she admitted. But Dorit said Kyle wasn't there for her when she needed her during her divorce from Paul PK Kemsley. When you're in a really difficult time and it's public, I mean, nobody doesn't know, especially your closest buddies. You would expect them to be there to support you if they're your close friends, she confessed. "I think some of the challenges that we've had is her idea of support and my idea of support, and I believe that's where it gets complicated. But I also think when you're in a friendship where you have to debate the word support, you don't want to have to ask for support," she said. It's a sad thing losing her friendship with Dorit. She appeared on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills after show before the Season 15 reunion when she said she was optimistic about their reconciliation. "I would hope that there's enough time that's passed that Dorit's in a better place, that she's taken the time that she needs," Kyle added, "and that she would be willing to fix things and not come in guns blazing." Kyle Richards reveals the tough truth about her current status with Dorit Kemsley. Kyle Richards and Dorit Kemsley's friendship has been up and down during the course of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Season 15. The cast members of RHOBH have been so close in the past, but continue to quarrel and have their disagreements. And today, Kyle is giving us big updates on their friendship. During February 17, Kyle was asked about her present relationship with Dorit during an Amazon live stream. In her answer, the mom of four was honest. "Not fantastic. Not good," Kyle remarked. Kyle did not disclose much more about their friendship, or if she was hopeful they would make up. But she and Dorit have both intimated their friendship isn't terrific in the past few months. There's so much to come from Dorit and Kyle's friendship in the rest of RHOBH. Season 15 teased both Dorit and Andy Cohen. Dorit went on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen on January 15 and claimed that things don't get better between them. "You know that saying, it's going to get worse before it gets better?" Dorit asked. "Oh, it gets a lot worse," Andy said. "In 2 weeks or so, hell breaks loose." Following RHOBH. Season 15, Episode 8, Dorit appeared on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills after show and vented her fury with Kyle. Kyle slammed Dorit in the program, taking digs at her estranged husband, PK Kemsley, amidst their divorce, which left Dorit furious. Dorit told the RHOBH after show that she had a problem with the way Kyle was behaving. "Kyle says he cares about my kids and everything," she said. "She talks like she knows PK too. Talks like she knows the ins and outs. Who PK is a fantastic storyteller, and I know Kyle. I know the kind of friend Kyle is." While Kyle and Dorit are in a not great place at the moment, Kyle said that she does miss some things about her friendship with Dorit. Kyle came on the RHOBH after show for Season 15 and said that Dorit brought so much to her life when they were on good terms. Just laughing and having fun and not taking everything so seriously. she stated in the video above the page. She seems angered by everything. Yeah, I mean, we may claim that we need to lean on each other right now, but honestly, laughter is the best medicine. And if we can have fun like that and laugh, it goes a long way. Dorit reveals why she left Kyle and Erica stranded in Italy without a ride. Following a heated disagreement in Italy between Kyle Richards, Erica Jane, and Dorit Kemsley, Dorit got in a car without Erica and Kyle, leaving them stranded. Dorit cleared the air on why she ditched the others on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills after show. Well, the car ride there, I kind of had my suspicions. She told Kyle and Erica's invitation to sightsee and eat gelato on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills season 15, episode 15. And then when this, you know what? I was like, I'm done. She felt the others had played her for a fool. There was already this vibe, she said. It was a 2-on-1 discussion, and that pushed her to her breaking point. Kyle makes it almost impossible to talk alone. She makes sure she has somebody there that's going to interject, that's going to keep her from actually being able to answer the question directly, Dorit said. And that's what was going on. There was a frustration there. I could see at that point. I got up very rapidly. I understand. Pulling Erica to the dark side by Kyle. It was very clear, Dorit added. The others were startled by her decision. I didn't expect her to steal the production van and take off, Erica remarked on the after show. But I don't think Dorit is at a place where she wants to hear anything. I don't know why she believes I should keep out of it. She stated later, she almost turned on me, and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And later on, the after show said, I care for Dorit. I desire a friendship with Dorit, but there are boundaries. And that's where I draw the line. You can't tell me to stay quiet and like that. No. When Bazoma St. John asked Dorit if she was going to send the automobile back for them, Dorit replied they had a car. But the March 26th RHOBH episode showed Kyle and Erica having to call for another car and wait nearly a half hour for it to arrive. For Dorit, the problem goes all the way back to the trust issues that she had with Kyle in season 14. The whole PK text message thing, we are supposed to be working back this year. We get to a place where we do trust one another, she pointed out. And how am I supposed to trust someone who's going behind my back in my most vulnerable time talking bad about me? About RHOBH season 15, Kyle has been very open about her personal emotions about Dorit's behavior, speaking to Boz, Erica, Kathy Hilton, Sutton Strack, Amanda Francis, and Rachel Zoe at various points throughout the season. Dorit's behavior has just been so odd lately. She's always on her phone or running late, Kyle stated during the March 26th episode. I'm concerned for her. I want to help or get to the bottom of this. Later, Dorit called Kyle out for her talks with the others in the group. All I know is I'm being told that Kyle has these conversations saying that I'm acting erratic and brings up being late and spending money, she said. Kyle added, I'm saying nothing that the rest of the gang hasn't spoken. Later, Dorit said that she only wanted Kyle to own her own opinion and to quit being such a friend by bringing my other friends into it. During the gelato outing, Dorit's breaking point came when she tried to talk to Kyle directly. Listen, I want to talk about the fact that I feel like you have a really hard time supporting me, she remarked during the March 26th episode, addressing her approaching divorce from Paul PK Kemsley. But Kyle noted that Dorit doesn't ask about Kyle's personal split from Mauricio Umansky. How do you gauge support? Dorit then asked Kyle, but it was Erica who said, no, I think the question is, how do you measure it because you don't feel it? Dorit was plainly irritated over Erica interjecting herself into the conversation, but Erica maintained, yeah, I'm gonna still do it. I'm not going to stop talking, Dorit. This was a King ambush, Dorit lamented in her confessional. Why the fuck? Do these girls think that they can accomplish this? I'm not here for this ST. Dorit went off. Come on. But when Kyle and Erica said no, she went back to the car by herself and left by herself. A friendship shouldn't be this hard, Kyle pointed out on the after show of the terrible chat. I don't need that. I just don't. When Dorit, Kyle, and Erica came back to the villa after their dispute, and the other wives heard what occurred, Boz and Rachel were worried they were drawn into the battle. "I don't like being dragged into this whole thing, Kyle," Boz said in her confessional. "I had a concern, and I only said it because you were talking about your issues, and guess what? I went to Dorit with my concern. I have said, okay, she's late," Rachel added. "Okay, she's this. But I am not going to get involved in I am worried about your finances. I'm worried about your expenditures. I'm worried that you're not mentally stable." "I don't know that to be true," she told producers. "I think there has to be a very clear line of who is you all, who is we all, and I'm not in it all." Dorit gave another reason why she wound up leaving without Kyle and Erica. "I left because it didn't feel conversational. It seemed to be deflecting. It sounded aggressive," Dorit told Kyle during a group dinner. "What I said to you was, I want to talk about our friendship, how you're feeling, and you kept bringing it back to the group. No more today. What are you thinking about this gossip today? Let us know in the comments, and stay tuned by subscribing to our channel to get more updates like this. Thank you."